Hello. Welcome to We Did a Podcast. We're all here today. Danny Singy Boy over here. Mm-hmm. We got David Naughty Boy over here.
Gonna dance Frank. All night. Dance all night.
Your intro boy.
I am intro guy.
What up, what up, what up?
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
Hey, guys. Today we're going to talk about some fun stuff.
Yeah, sort of, I guess. For some people, it's fun.
Fun to talk about, not so fun to live out.
Fun for a little while.
Yeah, fun for a little while, and then everything goes downhill. We're talking about cults today, everybody. Woo! Yeah. Not necessarily our favorite cults.
No, actually, weird. Yeah.
It's a problematic question.
Yeah, what's your favorite cult? But this is what we're going to talk about today.
Sounds like a good startup question on Tinder or something in your profile. Like, message me with your favorite cult. We'll see if we can.
And just to be clear, we're not talking about the football team, the Colts. No one's favorite team is the Colts.
The Colts.
But we're talking about a cult.
A cult.
Which, according to Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object.
Huh.
Which I think is interesting because that definition makes it sound like all religions are cults. By that definition, towards a particular figure or object, I'm just saying. Of course, we could get into that. That could be a whole podcast right there.
It's funny that you mentioned that because the first cult that we'll be doing is Scientology.
Ooh.
Wow.
It's science.
Oh, I should have got my copy of Battlefield Earth.
Kind of.
It's not really science, not really religion.
It's somewhere in between there.
It's got its own groove going.
Really not, though. None of that really means anything. So Scientology, as we started off, is, by definition, if we're going with the Michael Gary Scott intro to everything, which I really enjoy, Scientology is a contraction of the Latin scio, meaning knowing, and the Greek logos, study of.
Okay.
In short, Scientology means knowing how to know.
Interesting. Or like the study of knowing.
Knowing how to know.
That's weird.
Really makes no sense.
Very interesting.
Let's just say there's a lot in Scientology that I could go into. I don't think we have near the amount of time that I would need to really deep dive into Scientology because it takes a lot. It's been around for a long time. It started up in the 1940s as an inception of Lafayette Ronald Hubbard. Otherwise
I didn't know his first name was Lafayette.
Yeah.
Wow, that's why you go by L.
Yeah. You know, if you've got a very embarrassing first name.
Or Laffy.
Yeah. Laffy.
Laffy R. Hubbard.
Really good one. That's a really good one. So, born in Nebraska in 1911 to a Navyman, L. Ron Hubbard was an engineering school dropout. Began making a name for himself writing sci-fi novels as soon as he dropped out of college.
Interesting.
And made quite a name of himself for making sci-fi novels. He joined the Navy in 1941. Where I feel like if we give a little bit of a backstory about his military career, you can kind of like get an idea of where it's going and how Scientology came about. So he made a flurry of false and exaggerated claims about his military career, including earning multiple awards, including a Purple Heart, which is usually given to people who have valor or are wounded in combat.
Yeah, wounded in combat.
Performing it's a pretty scumbag thing to do.
Yes. He also made claims of being an elite commander for fleets of ships in the Navy. While he was a commander for 2 ships, as far as we know, in the Navy, he had several instances of commanding his ships to drop over 30 depth charges at one time in pursuit of 2 Japanese submarines, whose traces of existence could never be found and were therefore investigated and found not to be existent.
Wow.
Just dropped a bunch of bombs for no reason.
Dropped a bunch of bombs in American waters.
He tried to blow up some whales.
Yeah, essentially, for no other reason. But it doesn't stop there. Old Laffy makes it down the Pacific coast with his fleet of ships and legally crosses into Mexican waters, where he orders his men.
What a twist.
Yeah, where he orders his men again to drop charges and torpedo an uninhabited Mexican island. For a reason unbeknownst. He was later reprimanded, investigated. Mexico had a big bone to pick with him. He was relieved from commanding duty and grounded for the rest of his military career.
You are grounded, mister.
Literally grounded. You cannot be at sea because you are too dangerous. You're a dangerous imbecile.
Just trying to blow things up.
Whoa, okay.
So, as
Very interesting.
Yeah, kind of
Just-
like...
It takes a very particular kind of person to just shoot off bombs for no reason.
Yeah.
Or for perceived reasons.
Or perceived reasons, yeah.
So let's see how the concept all comes from that. So as he's working as an author, a sci-fi writer in New York, he's part of a elite club of authors with many names that I don't care to go into, but one being the publisher of Del Rey Books, who was Lester Del Rey. He serves a pivotal part in this because, as the story goes, L. Ron was on his way to a meeting to this elitist club of writers known as the Hydra Club.
Hail Hydra.
Interesting, right? Anyways, as he's hurrying to this meeting, he's ruminating, or I guess that's the right word. He's pondering about a story that he had been working on, a sci-fi story, which would end up being the founding story, or the theory of Scientology, essentially. So
The origin story.
the origin story for for Scientology. So it goes like this. I'll just give you a brief synopsis. Millions of years ago, in the Earth's past, the Earth is a primordial land of carnage with volcanoes erupting left and right. In the skyline, a fleet of spaceships appear. Xenu, the lord of a distant galactic confederation, has sent the fleet to Earth, absolutely brimming with the subject of Xenus.
This is the guy from Toy Story, right? The one Buzz Lightyear's always trying to
That's
kill?
the one.
Yes.
That's the one.
What is that guy's name?
Zorg.
Zorg.
Zerg.
Zerg, you're Zorg.
I'm Zorg. Who are then so then these subject of Xenus, for some reason, are dropped into volcanoes and bombed with hydrogen bombs. So there must be billions of people or subjects, whatever they are, alien life form. And so there's a massive bit of genocide here. The souls of these subjects are dubbed Thetans. These souls escape their corporeal reality. These Thetans will then survive and be entrapped in the Earth's atmosphere to be reincarnated by human beings that will one day dominate the Earth. That's the concept he has going into this meeting. He's just pondering it. Okay?
Hey, Elron, what are you thinking about?
Well,
You look a little bit spaced out over there, man. What are you thinking about?
so upon arriving at the club meeting, Elron discusses his financial struggles with the future editor of Del Rey Books, Lester Del Rey. Elron speaks about the frustrations of being paid about a penny a word for his work, where then Del Rey mentions the real money comes from religion because it's tax exempt, which sparks a little light bulb in his dumb little head. From there,
Bomb on me, baby.
let's just discuss this a little bit. Have you seen Battlefield Earth? Because I've never seen Battlefield
Oh,
Earth.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The entire movie is shot off axis. There's not a single shot where it's just the flat camera. Everything's like a little bit tilted.
Yeah, Battlefield Earth is hot garbage. I've seen it like way too many times in my
Really?
youth. And these guys were telling me they'd never seen it before.
I've never
and I
seen
tried to warn them. I was like, don't, just skip it. And eventually got to, well, fine, I'll watch it with you. Like, you guys don't need to be alone while you go through this. And
Is it 2 hours? Is it long?
It's
it
not
feels
short.
like 2.5, 3 hours
Yeah.
for sure.
Goodness.
Feels like
feels
some
long.
extended Lord of the Rings or something.
Yeah.
It's
And it was made by devout Scientologist John Travolta.
and Barry Pepper as well.
Huh.
Barry Pepper's another Scientologist, the sniper from Saving Private Ryan.
Interesting.
And they're all about, like, that was a big Scientology project.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of names in it. And it tanked. It did terribly.
You would think for a religion that is so interweaved in Hollywood culture that they would be able to afford a stand-up film.
You would think.
It's bad.
Maybe they had their
Yeah.
things focused on other things.
And it's not like funny bad. It's just bad.
No, it's just bad.
It's like not good. Not
Costumes
fun
are
to watch.
terrible.
Dialogue's bad.
Yeah.
The camera work is like super distracting. It's
Yeah.
so distracting.
Yeah.
And so it's about Xenu. It's like the origin story.
I couldn't tell you what it's about. I watched that whole thing a year ago. I don't know what it's about.
Coming up on We Did a Podcast. No. We advertise our coming CLE of Battlefield Earth.
That we guarantee we will not be doing a CLE for Battlefield Earth.
I don't know if I could write 250 words about that movie. Oof. Or 280 words.
They'd probably be the same
ways
word.
Can you say sucks?
I was going to say, you just say no.
Definitely no. Please, God, no.
So let's just say we're never doing a CLE on that. That would be torture.
I'm down.
My review of Battlefield Earth is...
So about a year or so, or very recent after that meeting at the Hydra Club, L. Ron publishes Dianetics, a new science of the mind, which was the seminal article from which the movement of Scientology would stem from. Now, according to the official Scientology website, Hubbard derived the word Dianetics from the ancient Greek word for through, dia, and nous,
Rhea,
which is essentially what it boils down to, the study of diarrhea, meaning mind or soul. So through, mind, or soul. To boil down the concept down to its basics, Dianetics refers to how the mind or soul affects the body. So essentially, Scientologists believe that the mind is an interface between a person's thetan, their true spiritual self, which you'll recall from the origin story are the alien souls that escaped their corporeal reality, and their environment. So the brain works to them just like this recording interface does. Mm-hmm. Takes in our info, reacts, creating digital files, whatever that thing Who's does.
That's it.
So the interface has two elements. It has the analytical mind and the reactive mind. The analytical mind, as the term suggests, is rational and aware, whereas the reactive mind is unconscious and involuntary, yet simultaneously in charge of the analytical mind. The reactive mind is where all of the trouble is. It stores experiences and perfect recordings called engrams, which feature every element of an event and may even keep traumatic events. If left to fester, these engrams are the source of nearly all that ails us, according to Scientology. To mitigate the power of these engrams, it's necessary to recount them aloud to a trained auditor, someone who is paid to listen to you, much like psychologists or psychiatrists. Mm-hmm. However, it is worth noting that Scientology totally debunks psychiatry and psychology, saying that it's against Scientologists' beliefs, at least from what I'm read, to take any kind of prescription for any mental illness at all.
Want to make sure they keep those people.
Right. Exactly.
Those are the easy ones to manage.
It's exactly. And it's a lot of this is boiling down to essential brainwashing 101, which is isolation, acceptance of a new reality. And, it's all these steps that are part of it. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, this is the big part of it. Okay, so Scientologists also insist that auditing not be confused with psychiatry, which uses methods they believe to be ineffective.
I was like, they use Methodists? They're involved too? Oh my God!
It's all a big scheme. Mainly that psychiatrists interpret what someone says rather than simply accepting what they say, as auditors do. Auditors use a series of tests administered before and after an auditing session to determine the results and establish what kind of auditing program will be necessary to being a clear state. So essentially, we are all born with this negative amounts of thetans and engrams that need to be systematically cleared for our thetans to move on to another echelon of existence. Now, the way this is set up is, let me go through some of the pricing of this, okay? So auditing is the session in which you hold these e-reading meters that are essentially electric currents.
Yeah.
And an auditor comes
tingles.
in. Yeah. Talks to you about your problems and apparently accepts everything you say. And then proceeds to tell you what your engram levels are at, what your thetans are at, what steps you need to take from there.
Does it tell you your blood pressure?
No, but it probably would, because it's probably essentially what it is. So the prices for an auditing session are said to have costs of up to $800 an hour from a professional auditor. Wow. That's just for the counseling, the part of it.
Yeah.
Then the training part of it is an essential part for members, which requires the acquisition and comprehension of at least 12 textbooks, which come in at a total of approximately $4,000.
I already knew it was going to be bad. Textbooks are expensive.
Pretty cheap deal for textbooks, though.
But wait, there's more. These texts are very frequently updated. And the updates must be purchased in full.
It's very much like a textbook then.
Yeah.
That's the racket.
Yeah,
that's how you do it.
They're tapping into all these little schemes going on around the world.
Yeah.
The bridge to total freedom, which is essentially what Scientologists need to aim for to have a completely clear state. That pathway starts at $650 and contains numerous classes that essentially never end. It's like a never-ending pursuit of money and a clear state.
Just keep on enrolling in classes like Pauly Shore and Son-in-Law.
Mm-hmm. Members, including famous Leah Remini,
Yeah.
I think her name, have reported spending millions in their time with the organization.
Oh, and Leah Remini can't stop talking about Scientology now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, she defected from the church.
She's the anti-Scientology person.
And she is actually the one that spoke about the person who took over from L. Ron Hubbard, which, let me just find his name. Miscavige. David Miscavige.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say his name. Once Leah Remini defected from the church, she actually was the one to say that she thinks that she's implying that he had his wife murdered because she hasn't been seen publicly since 2006.
Whoa.
And his wife was attempting to defect from the church as well.
Huh.
And have you heard about Miscavige's dad?
I have not.
He was in Scientology, got his family into Scientology, and then sort of realized, like, this is a terrible mistake. These people are crazy. And he got out, but his son was just, like, super into it. David Miscavige.
That's what I heard.
And who's later now, like, the head of Scientology. But this guy's... he just talks about, like, the amount of secrecy that's in the organization, too.
Yeah.
And, like, some of them live on, like, compounds and things like that. There's just a whole separation. They won't let you receive emails without them being, like, read through first. Mm-hmm. Some weird stuff.
They got to be screened, all your communications.
It's almost complete isolation.
Yeah.
And to put it more into... Let's see. I'm trying to find this part. Minders. Let's see. I'm trying to see what they call... they have a specific term for people who speak out against the church. And essentially they say that anyone who speaks ill of the church is this term.
Is a cockahead.
Is a cockahead. And they're saying that they try to remove all of their members from that person if they're linked with them, even if they're relatives.
Yeah.
So, let's just see.
No re-entry.
Oops. Man, I am... bopping the mic bunch today. Okay, Scientology
Boppy
controversies. Boy. Let's talk about this. In 1967, 10 years after being granted tax-exempt status by the IRS, which is essentially what L. Ron was looking for.
Yeah.
The church lost its status when the IRS claimed that Scientology was nothing more than a commercial cash grab for Hubbard's profit.
I like that.
Yeah. So the Scientology and the IRS have been at it since their inception.
Back at it again.
That's interesting.
Back in the habit.
And so that sparks this whole Cold War, essentially, from Scientology and the IRS and the government. Because Scientology then struggled and fought for 25 years with the IRS, employing seedy, secretive harassment tactics in a sort of Cold War fashion in the fight to regain their tax-exempt status. In 1986, Hubbard dies, and David Miscavige takes over as the leader and chairman of the religion, and is said to have been instrumental in the organization's attempts to investigate and exploit employees of the IRS. This includes reading sensitive documents, blackmail, harassment of government employees.
Wow.
So it's been a back and forth.
That's punk rock.
I like that was their plan, too. Like, we'll just annoy them until they give it to us.
Among the many controversies that have been reported from the organization, many have reported incidents of psychological abuse, harassment, exploitation, blackmail, obstruction of justice,
Get them.
and even statutory rape cases.
Yeesh.
Wow.
Yes. Here we are. Scientology deems anybody who speaks ill of the religion or seeks to dissuade a Scientologist from practicing their beliefs as a suppressive person. That's the term that they use.
Suppressive personalities. Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I'm probably a suppressive personality.
I mean, if you think it's a bunch of...
Definitely
I
are.
love hanging out with suppressive personalities.
You know? And that's where the isolation comes from. So, if anything, I'd like to read a little bit of the quick facts that's going on with Scientology recently. This is a lot some of it that's come from their past. It's a little bit about their religion and how it functions. Cult. And it's a little bit of what's happening right now. So, in Switzerland, the Church of Scientology is defined as a commercial enterprise. In France and Chile, it is considered a cult. Like by law. That state recognizes that as a cult.
Nice.
Whereas some countries recognize it as a religion. Scientology is considered a tax-exempt religion in the United States, Spain, New Zealand, Portugal, Australia, Italy, South Africa, and the Netherlands. Now, the I don't even know what you would say, but the cross, the Scientology has a cross as its major symbol. The only difference between that and the Christian cross is that the Christian cross looks like that. For those that are listening, it's the essential cross, but it also has two intersecting parts on it.
Like diagonally through the horizontal and vertical lines?
Kind of like a compass rose. You know what I mean? How it looks?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Essentially, what all those points mean is 1 is for the self, 2 is for creativity, sex, and procreation. Okay. 3 is for groups. 4 is for humankind. 5 is for all life forms. 6 is the physical universe.
6 is for pay us now, please.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, no, keep going.
No.
No, keep going, yeah.
7 is for spirituality, and 8 is for God, infinity, or the supreme being. I don't understand.
Wait, so what was 3 again?
3 was for groups.
And what's 4?
Humankind.
What's the
what's
other
2
multiple?
again?
2 is for creativity, sex, and procreation, or family.
So why didn't they
Or
just
family.
make 2 creativity, 3 people, and then 4 like sexuality? Like
What would they do with those other spikes?
it's terrible. But what I mean is they have 3 things on one spike, and then they have 2 that are the same thing.
I know.
They really could have evened that out a little bit better.
I feel like someone came up with the designs and was just like, well, what are we going to fill the rest of this up with?
You got to question a writer who can't even boil it down to 7 spikes. Or whatever it is.
The funny thing about Scientology too is they permit people. It's kind of a shaky ground, but they permit people that have pre-existing religions to come in and still practice while being Scientologists.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you can be Jewish. You can be.
Our Jewish friend that we grew up with joined the Church of Scientology.
As long as you got the money.
I mean, yeah, that's really what it comes down to. So let's just list off some notable Scientologists. As you know, Tom Cruise.
Santa Claus.
Tom Cruise is possibly one of the highest ranking, well-known people in Scientology. So much so that it's said that Katie Holmes was threatened when leaving. Yeah. As a member of Church of Scientologists, actress Katie Holmes was reportedly not allowed to make any noise during her labor in order to avoid negatively affecting her newborn daughter. Upon their divorce and defecting, it said that she was, the same thing, the same treatment, harassed. So let's go through the list. Tom Cruise.
That's no bueno.
That's not good at all. Tom Cruise, John Travolta. This one surprises me. Alana Masterson. Do you know who that is?
That name sounds really familiar.
So apparently she's related to Danny Masterson. She might be a sister.
Yeah, she's from Walking Dead.
Oh, that's right. She's
What was her name on that show?
Other girl who came in later on.
Tara?
Tara? Is it
Tara?
Tara.
Super annoying. Spoiler alert. She's now dead.
Yay!
They finally killed her.
Yeah, she was along for way too long.
I was always surprised. What an interesting character. And you know what? Danny Masterson got into some big trouble.
Yes. And that's
we were talking about that before we started recording.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Here. We were talking a lot about the church doing cover-ups and obstruction of justice. This is arguably one of the most recent things to have happened. Other Scientologists include Kirstie Alley.
Oh.
Strange.
Look who's
Yeah,
talking.
that's the one's a surprise to me. Every time I think Kristen Alley, I think Cheers automatically.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking
There you
too. Isaac Hayes, R.I.P. Chef.
Which that one's funny too because
he reached
he's
the maximum
one,
level of butthurt.
Yeah. How?
Just for the Scientology
and
episode.
both of those people, too. Yeah. So he got all upset, if you don't know this. He got all upset about the Scientology episode, and then Matt and Trey were just like, dude, we've made fun of everyone.
He's like,
you're not special, buddy.
How are you
he's
getting
been
upset?
fine with South Park making fun of every other religion.
Yeah. And then the least religion of all the religions, he gets upset about that. But then I think it's also a little ironic about Danny Masterson, because in that 70s show, he plays such an anti-establishment. Like, that guy would never be into Scientology.
No.
I just think it's hilarious.
It's
acting.
Ironic.
Acting, right? Yeah. Hey, this is a list of good actors, at least.
Hey.
Pretty I don't like Tom Cruise.
But did you know that your cousin is also a Scientologist?
Oh, yeah.
Michael.
That's why I don't get to talk to him as much. You know what I mean?
Michael Pena.
I try and send him emails and stuff, but it's just like, I don't get a lot of replies or weird stuff that I think maybe is someone else.
It's like a reply. It's like, the church welcomes your welcomes your
Weird
greetings.
thought, but imagine if Michael Pena was the new Hulk instead of John Garufalo? Mark Garufalo?
Mark Garufalo. Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Gruffalo?
Garufalo?
Mark Garufalo?
You got confused with that restaurant on
Garufalo.
Oh,
yeah,
Street.
Italian restaurant.
Garufalo.
I haven't even eaten there.
Mike, he just loves Ant-Man. He loves that energy from Paul Rudd. I don't think he'd ever want to do that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
He's probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
You know?
And just to avoid confusion with anybody listening, Michael Pena is not David's cousin.
I mean, that's what you say, but...
I mean, he is. He is my cousin.
No, they are definitely not cousins.
I've seen him.
Michael Pena is for sure my cousin. You have my word.
He is a large supporter of the show. Thank you, Mike.
David's word is not worth a whole lot for those listening.
Michael Pena is the one who came up with the podcast idea. He was like, David, you know what, dude? I think you should really get a podcast going. And I was like, Mike, that's crazy.
He wrote the song.
And then I wanted to get him in here, you know what I mean? But the Scientology thing, we're a little too off the beaten path for that. So
I think so, and especially this episode is not going to help us much with them.
Well, this is kind of a meta episode then, David, if this was true, which it is not.
It's very true.
Chick Corea, also a Scientologist, which kind of bummed me out.
It does.
Man, I love Chick Corea, so it's like, well, jazz cats.
That's part of the reason why I don't like Tom Cruise. I can't get past it in my mind.
Can't either.
I'm just like, this guy's a Scientologist every time I watch his movie.
That and he's too small to be a hero.
It bothers me. And it doesn't bother me anyone else. Like, if there's like a Muslim actor, I'm like, oh, this guy's a Muslim. But Scientology, it's just so weird.
A lot of people have said that some people that are in Hollywood business have joined Scientology purely for the networking possibilities.
Makes sense.
Because that's what John Travolta has also gone on record saying, that his popularity skyrocketed as soon as he joined Scientology.
Wow.
John Travolta's like stupid rich.
And then ironically, it killed his career by being in Battlefield Earth.
So after John Travolta's son, Jet, died, Scientology minders stayed with Travolta day and night to help him through the ordeal. It was also after Jet died that Travolta acknowledged Jet was autistic, although Scientology does not believe autism exists.
Whoa.
That's unfortunate for the autistic children of Scientologists.
But it's a big bonus because we at least know the Scientologists probably aren't anti-vaxxers.
You know, there's some light in
Solid
this subtle.
point, David. Solid
Silver
point,
lining
man.
all over the place.
Wow.
Yeah, and so the not so bright future of Scientology. Whether this is true or not, the religion is currently experiencing difficulties, and the future does not look bright. While the church claims that Scientology boasts millions of adherents across the globe, Going Clear, the documentary from Leah Remini, I believe, puts the number at fewer than 50,000 across the globe. And 50,000 really rich people. And although Tom Cruise and John Travolta remain faithful Scientologists, they have become less vocal about their religion, and the church has had difficulty recruiting new younger celebrities to be its public face.
Oh, yeah.
At the root of this problem, it's the defining factor of our age, the internet. In the past, when controversies arose, the church would pay a lot of money or go really hard to control the narrative. It's a little bit harder with the internet now because it spreads like wildfire, and so many sources you can't silence all those sources unless you are the government.
Yeah, you really couldn't unless you're spending an exorbitant amount of money. And then, you can't get past the bad press of Scientology. Like at this point, it's a punchline. You're going to have a hard time recruiting a bunch of people who are new to it. It's really strange.
It's, I'm glad.
Well, I was reading that because of their drop in membership, that they're having a lot of their members purchase real estate property for the church. Because once real estate is in like a church's network or something, it can't be foreclosed on or something like that.
Wow.
I don't know exactly what it is. It's some weird loophole. But essentially, the church is investing in real estate, and people buy it, but buy it in the name of the church. Mm-hmm. So it's not like even, you buy a house or something. It's not even that it's your house, really.
Yeah, it's the bank's house.
But it belongs to the church now. So they have this kind of like, this little spread going on in the California area of just all this land being bought up, which is crazy.
Wow.
That's a lot of money.
I mean, yeah. I mean, to even think on that scale.
It is a lot of money.
So looking at a little bit of modern Scientology problems, legal problems and such, the Church of Scientology has been accused of coercing women in central management into getting abortions. If a woman refused an abortion, she was intimidated, isolated, and forced to do physical labor until she agreed. Scientology has no official stance on abortion, which is just insane.
And that's so unlike most religions. Most religions want you to pop out some kids because then the religion will get bigger.
Yeah.
That's really
more
weird.
followers.
And you think Scientology would be all over it because it's like, yeah, have little babies, have them be Scientologists too. They can grow up, have jobs, and then give us their money.
Yeah. That's really bizarre.
Germany in the past continues to monitor, has monitored and continues to monitor the Church of Scientology in their country. Government says that it considers Scientology to be in conflict with the principles of the nation's constitution and sees the church as an abusive business rather than a religion. In March, here we go. So we're talking a little bit about Danny Masterson right now. In March, also known as Hyde from That 70s Show, if you haven't kept up with this, in March 2017, it was reported that Danny Masterson had been under investigation for several accusations of sexual assault. One of the victims filed a report in 2004 to the LAPD claiming she had been woken up to Masterson having sex with her and was then choked out by Masterson into unconsciousness. Several of the claims were made by other Scientologists of the Church of Scientology. As of November 2017, the case has been inexplicably stalled. One of the victims claimed that the church had submitted over 50 affidavits from fellow Scientologists that denied the victim's validity. The case is now overturned to the DA office of LA. Though compelling and overwhelming amounts of evidence have been presented, the charges have not been approved for filing.
Wow.
So there's an overwhelming amount of accusations, but it's kind of in a legal standstill.
Yikes.
Who knows what's going on with that information?
We're just waiting for the statute of limitations to run out, man. They're just trying to slow that thing down.
So all in all, Scientology is a cult. It's just a cult that hasn't fully collapsed yet.
And it's not exactly harmless either, you know what I mean? They're doing all these cover-ups and everything.
Oh, and it's been going on for years. I could go into years of problems with Sea Org, which is another part of the organization that has done more of the exploitation and blackmail with government and just, their members are just abused and kept.
So what, and I think this is always a talking point for Scientology, but what makes it different than being a religion? Like, specifically, what do you think? Like, why is it a cult?
My one, biggest argument against the validity of it as a religion is that its founder was a not so stable fiction writer, which is red flag number one.
That's true.
Like, this guy used to write sci-fi, and now he's telling you that this alien is actually.
But would you be as comfortable writing off Mormons?
Oh, for Joseph Smith?
Yes.
For Joseph Smith.
Yeah, and that's,
Yes.
I think that's why I think I
would
do.
make that exact same argument for Mormons. I'm glad you brought this up, David.
So if you were living in 50 AD, you were just some Roman, schlub, would you say the same thing about Christianity?
It's hard
if you were there for when it came out, that's a big thing. Like, the amount of time that it's been around.
Yeah, true.
Which is why we look at Mormons sometimes. Well, maybe not everybody, but you're like, what? This guy found these gold plates that only he could read, and then
what was it, 1800s that he founded?
Yeah, it's the 1800s, and it has a bunch of stuff in the Mormon Bible that's straight up ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
That Jesus came to the North America, and that
Native Americans are actually damned souls.
Yeah, it's weird. But if we put it in that way, I'm sure Mormons started off way cultier than they are now.
Oh, probably.
Somehow it's kind of like evened out.
And there's probably still sects of Mormons who are still a little bit cultier than others.
But I wonder if Scientology's ever going to get that way. Because you have
just chill.
You have L. Ron Hubbard, who made it. You know what I mean? So he's got the vision.
There are different sects of Scientology that, I mean, what I remember reading is the primary difference is they don't require as much money.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, eventually we're going to get to, like, Scientology Light.
Yeah. Lite.
Yeah.
Scientology Lime Light.
Wow. That extra squirt of lime really refreshes it.
Where you can torrent salvation.
Yeah. It's to get in that other diverse demographic.
Wow. Well, that's a big thing about Scientology and why I think it's also so celebrity heavy. Because it's so expensive. And it's sort of, in a way, like an exclusive club. You have to have this much money to get to this level. And I'm sure, Tom Cruise is thrilled about being so far up there.
He's definitely paid his way
Scientology
into it.
is almost as celebrity heavy as Tombstone is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Hot take.
That's a hot take.
Well, there's that young pastor. I don't know what his name is.
Oh, Joel Osteen?
No, not Austin, but I guess it's a similar light, to be honest, though. But there's this one who's with all of the celebrities.
Is it the Justin Bieber one?
He's like Justin Bieber's pastor.
It's the one that Joe Rogan was talking about with the V.
With the V, the guy was wearing his shorts super low. But you got to think like this
Pastor
guy,
Sexy Abs.
This guy charges like thousands of. Oh, well, like Joel Osteen, for instance. You have to buy tickets to go see Joel Osteen, and this guy's selling an exuberant amount. And in a way, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same. Like, it's a scam. It different to sell someone a $400 seat in a giant theater versus like, okay, come talk to me in this room and put your hands on these electric things, $600. If anything, one of them is at least more upfront. Scientology's like, you gotta pay this
even worse because you got to do all that, and then they're like, oh, by the way, you can't talk to anybody you used to talk to.
Yeah.
The part of it that kind of stands out to me is that it's kind of a well-structured bit from all of these little scams. It's got all these little parts of scams. It's got part of the textbook scam. It's got part of the education scam. It's got a part of pyramid scheme. It's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? Like you start here. There's no way you could conceivably reach the top unless you're rolling in dough, and it's like a never-ending money pit.
And that's kind of like the theme in most cults is like somebody's getting scammed at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it all rolls
there's
downhill.
like a benefactor.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, it's just like it may not be as extreme because there are people with enough money that are able to defect successfully, but they're still harassed for the rest of their life. Some people have said it's better to commit suicide than try and defect from the Church of Scientology.
Yikes.
Well, that's an unfair opinion because you can't really ask the people who chose the other option now, can you?
You can ask their thetans.
Well, I guess so. Do they have a thetan like communication device?
The real life version of metachlorians.
Man.
Your thetan levels through the roof.
Would you say that George Lucas was inspired by L. Ron Hubbard?
Wait, so are Scientologists Jedi?
They could be.
That's lame, man. I always thought Jedi would be a lot cooler.
They're the lamest Jedi on the planet.
Even Master Hubbard doesn't have a level this high.
Yeah, he is revered as like a Jesus figure he's like a messiah in such a
but not svelte like Jesus.
That would be like if you went to some used bookstore and there's this dusty shelf of like, old Star Wars expanded universe novels, like old ratty Game of Thrones books. And it's like, oh, here's Jesus' sci-fi series.
Before he got really focused in.
Oh, yeah, he worked on this in the college years.
He was just writing some stuff for fun. Yeah.
Everybody has to have a hobby, savior or not.
Well, that's Scientology. That's a bit. That's a very, it's a skim.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us,
Yeah, good
Danny.
stuff there. So, but
I learned a few things about Scientology I didn't know.
Me too,
There's always something new to learn about Scientology.
It has such a, for being, such a deplorable organization, it has like a rich history.
Yeah. You should ask Bev about it sometime.
Is she
we have a
Scientologist?
mutual friend. Well, she like looked into it one time.
Oh, man.
And
When
said
she was
that,
shopping religions.
And said that, I don't know, there was some negative pressures coming.
They do a lot to coerce people into the...
We'd get her on here, but it'd be like a 5-hour podcast.
And that was the first time I tried Scientology.
Oh, man.
We'd probably get the Randy Dingle story.
Oh, yeah.
I love a good Randy.
We'd get a bunch
story.
of embarrassing stories about Randy and like 10% Scientology, and it'd be like 5 hours long.
Maybe that's what we should do the Christmas special.
There we go. Oh my god.
Just stories about Randy's dangle.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Wow. For everyone who's listening, who's like not as familiar
Like, what
with
is
all the
happening?
people in our life or whatever.
Yeah, this is just a conversation for us
confusing.
that happens to be on recording.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The stories will come one day. We have to get Randy on when we tell all these stories.
Oh, that'll be an adventure.
Yeah, you know what? Like we just need to try to get our friend Randy on for an episode sometime because
Yeah.
it would just be a treat to share Randy
Oh, dude,
with the world.
we could hit spicy foods. We could ask him about why
yeah.
some people don't like spicy foods.
Ask him which spicy foods he eats or doesn't eat.
It's because he thinks
Wow.
mayonnaise is spicy, right?
Oh, I don't know about that. I wouldn't be surprised though. At this point, nothing from Randy surprises me.
True. Well,
What
Frank,
we got next?
Hit us, man.
on to the next one as if it were Pledge Week and all the cults were pitching to you. I'm going to talk about a little cult that I learned about for this podcast. I wanted to pick something I didn't know about before.
Wow.
There's just so many cults out there. You know all the big ones, you know what I mean? You get the Manson family.
Yeah.
You get the Branch Davidians.
Jonestown.
Yeah, the Branch...
Heaven's
God,
Gate.
what Heaven's Gate, yeah. Shinrikyo.
Shinrikyo. That
Order
one's
of the
crazy.
Solar Temple.
Oh, that one's so cool.
Yeah, there's so many cults. So
I
many
know that
cults.
That's the French one, I believe. I think that's or French Canadian.
Yeah,
French
I think they have. It was in France and the French Canadians. Don't you know a? Yeah, that one. I almost did this solar temple, and it was like kind of peaceful, kind of awesome. But then the founder or like the leader at the time has a baby, and everybody for some reason decided this baby was the Antichrist, and then they.
There's a lot of sex in the Order of the
So
Solar
I
Temple,
pulled
too.
out of the Order of the Solar Temple. You know what I mean? I don't have a problem with the sex, but when you start murdering babies, it's time to go. It's time to
Got that
pack your bags,
happening.
find a new
Probably
cult.
probably a little too heavy.
Probably for the best.
Damn it, this happens every time I join a cult. So today I'm going to talk about a little cult called Realism. Realism is categorized as a UFO religion because of the heavy influence in aliens, and we'll get into that in just a second.
That's right.
Also founded by a Frenchman named Claude Vorilhon, or something like that, something Frenchy.
Very Frenchy.
Yeah, like you got like some cheese in your mouth. I think you have to say it that way.
You just have to get quieter as you go along.
I have
Vorilhon.
no idea. It looks like Vorilhon.
Yeah. That's how a true Texan would pronounce it.
Vorilhon.
True. So the Raelian movement teaches that life on Earth was scientifically created by a human-like race of alien beings that come to the world every now and then to check up on us and make sure we're going in the right direction.
So Prometheus.
Prometheus, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Scientology. I'm just kidding.
And the master of these extraterrestrials, his name is Elohim. We will be talking about him later.
Well,
and that
that's
name's
the-
kind of nice.
That's the Jewish name for God.
Elohim.
Elohim.
Makes sense?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they pull a lot of influences like in their imagery. Their sign is regrettably like a Star of David with a swastika in it. I'll send you a file so you can
Wow.
throw it on the video.
This
And I'll
man,
let you guys take
Claude-
a look at that right now.
Claude Vorilhorn.
Yeah, he's making some risky choices.
He is the original edgelord.
Although to be fair, that's not really a swastika, because the swastika is tilted 45 degrees. That's a symbol that was originally with like the yin.
Hindu.
Yeah, it's something to do with Hinduism.
That's
it's
what the
Hindu.
Nazis ripped
He's-
off. Either way,
He's
when they
totally
tried
random.
to expand to Jerusalem and Lebanon, the governments were like, no.
yeah.
No, you may not.
I can't hear myself.
Oh, I might have moved you over a little bit.
I can hear both of you guys.
Oh, no, you know what? You're gone, dude.
Your vocals?
Hold on, quick pause. Very interesting to come back to. Sorry about the technical difficulty, guys.
Yeah.
We had some weird stuff going on, and then come to find out even more weird stuff going
Yeah.
on.
It happens
So
when we're
weird.
talking about
And-
cults, too.
To be honest, it's all just righted itself. I didn't
I don't know what
didn't
happened.
really do anything.
I
It
don't
just
know.
started
I don't
working
understand
again
why
all of a
any of it
sudden.
had an issue.
I want to say that it was harassment from Scientology.
Oh my god,
You know-
we were talking smack about them for like 20 minutes and they found out already, dude.
They're always listening.
Well, you know, I just feel like, especially since we've started this project, I have such a bigger respect for people who make content, especially people who do like live stuff. It's like, man,
Oh my goodness, I could like we were talking about doing streams for a while, and I'm glad we didn't do that because it's just a stress
Imagine
of
how much
having to do
goes
something
wrong.
live.
Yeah.
Oh man. You know, but some of the bigger channels have like such a big production team too.
Well,
you know?
that's a good point. Yeah, there is a production team, but sometimes I see these people who are just like, hey, it's me and my buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Podcast Talk, where we talk about making a podcast.
Yeah.
In podcast form.
Dang.
But let's get back into this cult stuff.
We are back on realism.
Yeah, so we're talking about realism. I'm just going to keep railing on through this. Members of the alien species of extraterrestrials headed by Elohim, for those of you who remember from, like...
God.
Well, I'll probably let this run for like 15, 20 seconds. So from like 50 seconds ago, about a minute and 20 seconds ago.
I don't know if you have to bring this back up. I'm just going to cut it all out.
So yeah, they teach that life on Earth was created by the extraterrestrials. Members of the species appeared human when having personal contacts with the descendants of the humans that they made. So every time they come down, good catch, David. Every time they come down, they put on the human facade, kind of like that episode of South Park.
Reptilians.
Yes, much like Reptilians,
Oh,
or
okay.
that episode of South Park if you want to stay fun about it. Bring Alex Jones and everything. So when they were talking to these early humans, according to the lore of the cult, they purposely misled those early humans by telling them that they were angels or cherubims or gods, you know what I mean? They were
Okay.
putting on the mask because you got to keep them guessing. Apparently, you
Gotta
can't
keep
just
'em-
tell them up front. Apparently, you
about
want
the
them to
big
follow
reveal.
this other religion. And one of the things about this religion is you have to forsake all other religions. So it's weird that the ones that they're worshiping in these religions also had them worship other religions at the beginning.
There's a bunch of plot holes there already.
Yeah, plot holes. We're like in paragraph 1 of this Wikipedia entry
like,
and
so-
already plot holes.
So why'd you guys make 700 religions?
The founder of realism received the final message of Elohim, and the purpose of that message was to inform the world about Elohim. Everybody needs to go out and start this religion. It's time. We've been having to follow these false religions for too long. The time has come. Now that we've made it extra hard for you, go ahead and bring everybody into this. So they preach peaceful living, coexistence, democracy, but also like some less than ideal things. They have a couple subgroups. One of these groups, let me scroll down to it because that's what I really thought was interesting. Because it's all supposed to be like free love, everybody's equal, and then as you do in a cult, this whole kind of thing, we start using it for other stuff. Where's my
The main cult stuff.
the main cult stuff, the meat of
Drugs,
the situation.
sex, and rock and roll.
Someone's having sex with everybody's wives.
It's true. You don't bring a wife into a cult, man. It's everyone's wife at that point.
Yeah.
So Claude Vorlin started a company. Where's the name of this company? Called
Cults Incorporated.
Cults Incorporated.
It's called Cloniad, which was originally Valiant Venture Ltd. It's a corporation based out of Canada. Started this company in 1997. He ends up handing it over to one of his bishops, Brigitte Bosselier, in the year 2000.
Nice pronunciation.
Yeah, that was nice.
Thank you. I didn't practice at all. They are like a genetic research company. That's what they're supposed to do. I knocked some stuff. That was me. Sorry about that.
Mystery Mike sound.
Brandon wasn't here this week, so I had to get the extra mic.
There we
up
go.
there.
There's one more.
That one's for you, Brandon. Totally
I-
intentional. Didn't do that on
In
accident.
post, I got to hear dings now.
I can do that. Every time there's a request made, like on recording.
I think
Yeah.
it
The
stands
table's
next
hitting
to the
your
table.
stand, yeah. There we go.
Let's
Oh
be,
my goodness.
Let's be real professionals here.
Yeah, I'm like so upset with myself over everything right now.
It was
What are
a
you gonna do?
flustering experience.
What are you gonna do? So yeah, this company, they are a genetic research company. In 2002, they claimed to have birthed like the first human clone that they named Eve, because that's what you do,
That's what you do.
This is like bad sci-fi writers. You obviously got to name it Eve.
Yeah.
But then again, like the first type of human, you don't want to name her like Kate,
Susan.
Karen.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I think that's disrespectful to a lot of Karens out there.
All the Karens that are listening to WeDAP.
They're just like, what? I love my name.
Sorry that your name's not interesting.
If your name is Karen, let us know
Wow.
at davidandfrankandbeans@gmail.com. What up, Karen? Obviously, this sparked like a lot of controversy in the media, got him a lot of coverage, and people are calling BS, because it's probably BS.
Yeah, fair enough.
What are you gonna do? So that's like some weird stuff. They also they have the kind of missionary thing going on where they want to branch out. But their whole purpose of getting new locations is to have new points of contacts for when the aliens come back to tell us about more stuff. They celebrate December, what is it? Oh, hold on, I have this date here. I can't believe I forgot it. It's in August.
Is it the winter solstice?
No, it's August 6th.
August.
Does August 6th sound important to anybody? What if I told you it was August 6th, 1945?
Oh, it's the Hiroshima date.
Yeah, so they celebrate the day that we dropped the bombs on Hiroshima, which is a weird day to celebrate.
And now we're in the cult side.
Because that is what ushered us into what they call the Age of Apocalypse. This is a big thing for them. They celebrate it so much that this is
very original.
this is the realist New Year's. That's like that's their first day of the year. That's when we start off. They're like super stoked about the A-bombs.
This is the dawning of the age of apocalypse.
Is there a sect of realism in Japan? Because I feel like that might not go over well.
Ooh.
They do have members in Japan. They have a lot of like Asian members. They weren't allowed into Lebanon and Israel, as I told you earlier.
Oh, yeah.
They've since changed their logo too a little bit. Like it's still that weird, almost kind of Star of David, but with like squigglies in it. So it's a little squiggly
They
voice.
cut the edge a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta cut some of the edge out.
You got like Nazi symbolism, and then you're celebrating like Hiroshima. Like you're sending out a lot of weird
Whose
messages.
side are you on?
They're like, no, it's not like that. But it's like,
But
well,
like
it really
that.
seems like that though.
Yeah.
It's weird because it really seems like that.
They just sound like a bunch of edgelords.
Claude Vorlin, before he started this religion, because this makes perfect sense in the career jump, he was a race car driver and automobile journalist, which seems like the kind of person that like God would come down to let him know what's up. You know what I mean? It's like, man, that guy can drive fast. This is the prophet.
Surprised he skipped over Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, right. Skipped right over Jeff Gordon. Well, Jeff Gordon wasn't driving cars yet, so that's probably what happened.
there you go. That's
right.
Not an eligible receiver.
Gotta go fast.
Sorry, I lost my page with the groups because this is what I found not really interesting, but this is like the really like okay, cult. Boom, cult.
Boom.
They have a member hierarchy, like most organized cults do. There's 7 levels, but it goes from 0 to 6. Just to show you, like, on that bottom rung, you really aren't worth anything, I suppose.
Whoa.
And I think that's probably the logic
So that's where you come in.
behind it, yeah.
Okay.
At level 0, you are known as a trainee. Level 1, you're an assistant organizer. Level 2...
Assistant to the organizer.
You actually get to kick the assistant. You are then the organizer. Level 3 is made up of assistant priests and regional guides.
Wow.
Level 4, priests and national guides and regional guides. Level 5, you have the bishops, which are made up of continental heads, national guides, and regional guides. And level 6, the guide of guides. The planetary guide.
The Sherpa to Sherpa.
Yeah, and that's Claude. Claude's the guide of guides. That's homeboy.
So no
The
one else
prophet.
can get to that level
No.
of guide to guide. Well,
Well, I think so. The way it works, you have to like you can be promoted like when they do these celebrations. They do it on the 4 like major holidays, but you have to be promoted by somebody a higher level than you. Like obviously.
I mean, you change the names, the levels, and it sounds like most branches of Christianity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to change the name to all of them. Like
Yeah.
Bishop, that one's already taken.
yeah, bishop, priest,
Yeah.
guide to guide.
Guide to guide. Sherpa to Sherpa.
That just sounds like an amazing 90s comedy movie waiting to happen.
Sherpa to
Sherpa.
Sherpa.
With like Sherpa to Sherpa.
Yeah.
with Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
Yeah, it'd be like Jungle to Jungle.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas is like someone who's grown up in the wilderness, and then he meets up with what's that guy's name from Son-in-Law?
Pauly Shore.
Oh,
Pauly
Pauly
Shore.
Shore.
Pauly Shore's like dad kicked him out of the house, and he had to get a job, and he's a Sherpa, but he doesn't know what he's doing.
And they have to get to Everest.
Yeah,
together.
they have to get to Everest together. because they're brothers. That's what it is.
We gotta get to the summit, buddy.
This movie writes itself.
Cuts to the end of the movie, and it's just Pauly Shore frozen, just like
Jonathan Taylor Thomas like eating him, trying to stay
making
alive.
the weasel noise.
Wow.
He gets frozen in Everest, and then it does like a time jump, and then he's Brendan Fraser in Encino Man.
Whoa.
Wow.
Ooh, super
The
meta.
Pauly Shore Cinematic Universe, the PSCU.
And then it leads us to the remake we've all been waiting for, Encino Man, where they still get Sean Astin.
Who would be the Nick Fury of that universe?
Oof.
Maybe Dave Coolidge.
Still Samuel L. Jackson. That guy'll do anything you throw at him.
Oh,
Can
you
I still
big
wear the eye
nerd.
patch?
I've kind of gotten used to it at this point. We digress.
Wow.
So within realism, there are a few women-only groups. And, you know, at the beginning, it kind of sounds like a good thing, but then, you know, it's a cult. Women make up only a third of the membership in the Raelian Church. But let's see. There are a few like specific groups of them. One called the Order of Angels that was founded in the 1990s, which consists over 100 Raelian women who call for femininity and refinement for all humanity. They have to like declare an oath when they're initiated because it's like a subgroup of a cult. So
Yeah.
obviously there's an initiation ritual. The Order of the Angels has its own hierarchy, like within the hierarchy. They're called the Rose Angels and White Angels. There are 6 and 160 women in these two groups, respectively. The high elite, the 6, and then the bottom tiers of the pyramid, 160 women. Their main job is to kind of be the egg factory for the Raelians. They in their oaths they have sworn to protect Claude himself, like with their own lives, and their other thing is they donate their eggs to their cloning research.
So would you say they would be essentially Claudi's angels?
You know, Danny, I would say, good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Let's end
That's
it.
the end of the.
Let's end it. That's the end of the channel.
We're not getting better than that.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
End on a high note.
Little did I know this was going to be the ultimate episode. So yeah, they've sworn to protect them with their lives. They are the egg factory, the hens, if you will,
So
and also they got to give them sexual pleasures.
oh, okay, there
Yeah,
it is.
there it
And
is.
there it is. Wait, so when you say they're the egg factories for the Raelians, are the Raelians the members of the cult, or are they talking about the aliens?
No, they are the Raelians. The members of the Church
Got you.
of Realism are Raelians.
So they're incubators.
So are these guys tax exempt too?
I don't
Are
believe
they
they
a
have tax
religion?
exempt status.
Okay.
No.
So then they're a cult.
Yes, they are a hard
Okay.
cult. Capital C cult.
Capital C.
Wow.
Cult.
That'll be great to listen to while you're driving in your car to work.
Just make the speakers pop a little bit.
So for these women, Claude now, as the prophet, he now goes by Rael. So here to known
So-
as Rael.
Now it's about him.
Yeah, obviously it's about him.
Okay.
Rael has instructed some of the women of the members to play and I mean this is loosely defined. It's like his definition of a pro-sex feminist role in the Raelian Church. So there's another group called Rael's Girls. Yeah, which
I
obviously
like Claudi's Angels. Just rolls off the tongue way better.
missed opportunities.
Really, I mean, this guy's not good at marketing.
But these girls, not so much angels. It's another group of women which are staunchly against the suppression of feminine acts of pleasure, including sexual intercourse with men or women. So Rael's girls solely consist of women who work in the sex industry. So escorts, hookers,
Dentists.
sex workers. Yeah, dentists. Thank you, Danny. I almost forgot the dentist.
There's some dentist named Karen listening right now. She's just upset.
I've had it.
I'm joining Claudi's Angels.
So yeah, their whole stance is like there's no reason to repent for being like a stripper or a prostitute or any kind of sex worker. Which I mean, I don't have any like sex worker. Do your thing, you know what I mean? As long as you're safe and you're making your own decisions and you have power,
Do you,
everything's
girl.
cool. But yeah, when you're brainwashed to be told like this is what you were meant to do, that's It's a little bit bad.
Kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
More normal religious things. They have baptisms. They baptize with water. Water's got the whole like purification thing. You know what I mean? That also only takes place on the 4 ceremonial dates they have a year. Some of those other holidays. Let's see. I have another page for the holidays here. So we've already talked about August 6th, the super joyous occasion of dropping the bombs on
Little
Hiroshima.
boy and fat man guy.
They have the first Sunday of April, which commemorates the scientific creation of the first human being in a laboratory by our creators, Elohim.
April Fools.
April Fools.
Wow.
October 7th, which is Matria Real's first encounter with Yahweh or Elohim.
Okay.
When he was taken to the planet of our creators. And December 13th, when Real's first encountered an extraterrestrial human being. And that's when he originally revealed, like, hey, so this is how we made you.
Wow.
How's it going, man? My name's Elohim. I created you all. Isn't that weird? Wow.
Isn't that weird?
Don't worry, I know you're super confused right now, but you're going to have tons of ladies having sex with you, so it's not even a thing. Don't even trip.
I think these people would love watching Prometheus. I think it would be like...
They'd be down.
They'd probably be super into it.
They'd be like, whoa, dude.
Raelians also practice sensual meditation, which is a set of exercises made public by Claude in his book, La Méditation Sensuelle.
Sensual
No, baby, I just want to do a little bit of meditation.
Do you want to praise the Lord?
Yeah.
I.e. me?
And this is something they always talk about in the seminars because he wants to make sure, like, you're getting your rocks off. You know?
Wow.
He's about having
It's
a
not
good
just
time.
about his rocks.
Yeah.
It's about everybody's
It's
rocks.
mostly about his rocks.
Yeah. But mostly. Most importantly, Claude's rocks.
Wow. It's a phrase I haven't heard too often, but I got my fill right
Get
now.
your rocks off, dude.
So, how does... I've got some questions about realism.
Okay.
Okay, so sustainability-wise, is there a buy-in fee? How
No,
does the
no
economics
buy-in
work?
fee.
Okay.
You just forsake your other religions, start coming to seminars,
Become an incubator?
learn how to meditate real good.
Nice and sensual-like?
Yeah. See which group you go to and then take it from there.
Okay, so what is sensual meditation? Do you
Yeah,
have any
let's just
further
go into
I
Yeah,
wish I
this
knew
is
what the
it.
exercises were. I just know it's a set of exercises. I imagine most of these exercises probably aren't exercises as much as like low-key masturbation probably.
I wonder if it's like a yoga pose kind of thing, because
Yeah.
I feel like
That's what I was imagining.
it goes against the idea of meditating.
Except it's like a team, so you have to like bump fronts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I would imagine something
Oh,
like that.
maybe it's like OTP,
Yeah, maybe.
you know, just over the pants. Maybe it's
Some good old-fashioned
sensual.
OTP.
OTP. It's very... I mean, that's super interesting. What blows my mind is it seems like it's a cult without any financial, gain, which would be... I don't know how they work their finances, but that's used to be like... That's like a typical...
Well, I
Well,
mean,
I'm
they're
sure-
still a church. I'm sure they're
They
tithing.
take donations.
Yeah, and at that company that they're at, like, I didn't really look into it because I don't really, like, I don't understand biotech stuff.
Oops.
Like, I don't understand, like, gene therapy and all that. But I'm sure they do other legitimate work outside of claiming to have created a clone. Or maybe they're just really
that's-
throwing all their money into, like, really trying to make
I
a
think
clone.
the sensual meditation part like totally threw off my remembrance of the clone thing, which
Yeah,
is cool.
never forget, these guys are trying to make clones. And the whole purpose behind the clones, they are... Cloud has told them that Elohim told them, like, all right, step 1, you guys need to figure out how to make a clone. Step 2, you figure out how to make that clone grow rapidly for a time and then stop and then just grow regularly. Step 3, figure out how to transfer consciousness between one vessel and your clone vessel.
There's the
Boom.
tough step.
Immortality.
3-step process. The third step is...
Yeah.
3 easy steps.
I can't tell you my 3 steps.
Oh, that's how you gain immortality. Duh.
I found it on my phone right now. That guy did get tax exempt status for
What?
their organization.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the U.S.?
No, I think in Canada.
Good
Oh,
old Canada,
Canada.
not infringing on anyone's rights.
You kooks.
Yeah, he's a resident and achieved tax exempt religious status for his Raelian movement. Wow.
Yeah, but I'm glad I didn't forget that all the way because it's like as if trying to make a clone wasn't crazy enough. You realize the reason behind the season is to live forever.
I wonder if I could require.
It's really interesting.
Maybe I can request more info about sensual meditation from the official website. Let's look
why don't you do some sensual research?
Realism.com.
I think it's interesting. These two are kind of similar, Scientology and realism, especially with the exempt status and everything. The focus on aliens.
I mean, if you're really interested, they
science.
have a website. It's a .org, obviously, because these are super legit people, David. And you can just download their Bible for free. There it is.
Message from the designers. For those of you that are...
Oh, you know what? I was going to do this, but can you go ahead and just read...
Is this the description? Right here?
Wait, there's one line. There's one line that I really wanted to hit. Go to the top really quick.
Go to the top. Frequent question.
Can you read the tagline under the message for the designers on the main page for realism?
Before I do that, I want to say that for those that cannot see, this webpage looks straight out of like 1998.
I'll send you a screen cap of this too, because this is something we need to
It is
share.
pretty funny.
Send me your pics.
Message from the designers, which is the Rael.org. The book, which is literally out of this world.
Nailed it.
Download and read it for yourself.
I mean, with a tagline like that, why aren't we joining right now?
Check it out. First frequently asked question. Who created Elohim? If we believed in God, we might ask, who created God? If we believed in evolution and the Big Bang, we might ask, where did this matter and energy come from that created the Big Bang? For the Elohim, it is the same. They were created by people coming from the sky, as were their creators. It's an infinite cycle of life. One day, scientists from Earth will also go to another planet and populate it.
Who created your God? Something else.
Someone did.
Something else that something else created.
Someone that they don't know.
Yeah. Well, that's everything, though.
Yeah.
I guess that is a good point.
This
on
is
their
essentially Prometheus, though. I will say, like, all of this. This is all coming down to it.
Yeah.
What is the Raelian view on pedophilia? Even if we are in favor
Hold on, I didn't click on this link. I might find out some
I feel
stuff
like
on
I should
that.
read a little bit of this. Even if we are in favor of sexual freedom between consenting adults, if you are a pedophile, you are definitely not welcome in the Raelian movement. I guess
Yeah,
that's
nice.
one. Yay.
Right
Nice
on,
point for
Raelians.
realism.
Right. Not only because our position is very clear condemning it as a mental disease, but also because, contrary to the politics of the Catholic Church, which has been hiding pedophile priests, see nopedo.org. Wow, these guys are going hard.
Get him!
Boom! And moving them from parish to parish so they can make more victims of their disgusting behavior.
Ooh.
The Raelian movement has a strict policy of not only expelling immediately any member suspected of pedophilia or sex with people under legal age, but also to immediately report them to the police. Wow.
Okay.
Let's just get like a
Good
on you, a golf
Yeah.
clap to Rael.
Yeah.
That's like some bright,
That's cool.
that's a bright little light
I
in
can
there.
get on board with that.
Good
All
job,
right.
guys.
Consider me in, man.
Sign me up.
Well, that was definitely interesting.
I love it.
I liked it. Are
So
you on
in trying,
Central-
yeah, I was also trying to find some stuff. I could just keep finding links to a bunch of books, but the description for this book is Sensual Meditation is the instruction manual given to us by those who created us and who are in the best position to know how the brain works, to teach us how to master the harmonizing possibilities deep within our brains.
Wow.
I mean, I should probably just like buy it, you know what I mean? And we'll learn how to meditate together before we start recording.
Guys, this
Meditate so hard.
before every recording session.
This just keeps getting better. Sorry, I read in the papers that you organize orgies. Is this true? No, the Raelian movement does not organize orgies or anything of the sort as it gathers at its gatherings or seminars. Sadly, the media will write/say almost anything to sell their stories. Religious minorities are all too often a target for these kinds of false rumors.
Wow.
Now, let's just say this right here. Okay, I'm going to give you two options. You guys tell me which one to read, or we can do both. One of them is the Raelian movement a cult? The second one is, what's with the swastika?
we got to hear both. I
can't
need answers
decide.
to
Both
both
are
these
really
Give me the
questions.
swastika first,
Yeah,
because I want the
swastika
cult
first.
last.
Yeah.
The Star of David represents infinity in space, whereas the swastika represents infinity in time, i.e., there being no beginning, no end in time, and everything being cyclical. I mean, that's a decent
So we have the
answer.
That's a pretty good
space
reason.
stone and the time stone. We got two of the infinity gems.
They also could have just done like a donut. A donut
Yeah.
has no beginning.
Maybe
or
like
end.
an Ouroboros or like a little infinity
yeah.
sign.
Yeah, I was
you know
going to
what
say, if only there was a symbol for infinity they could have been using.
If one defines the word cult as a great devotion to a person, idea, or thing, then we certainly are not a cult, as we do not worship any individual.
Dang, they pulled up the dictionary on us.
They did. They Michael Scotted us.
They pulled a me.
Nor any supernatural entity, and the only fanaticism that we would support is to be a fanatic of nonviolence.
What's supernatural about a human-like alien that created us all in a lab?
I'm conflicted here.
That's
because
just science.
Frank has given me all this negative information. He's being a real suppressive person.
Right? Exactly.
And then I'm hearing the words off the Ray Alien website, and it sounds great.
Rael is
there are more positive words. I'll give you that.
I will say that Rael seems to be the railest dude around.
I'm G to G for R.
Wow. If being in a cult means losing one's freedom, you can read how freedom is encouraged in every teaching of Rael, and how Raelians are actually fighting for freedom on every continent they live in. They are at the forefront of most freedom fights because it is a major part of the Raelian philosophy. Rael encourages every member to be as different as possible from the others to make sure that they never try to comply.
Guys, I know we started it off saying that we weren't supposed to be picking our favorite cults, but
I like this cult.
I think I found one.
This is how they get you. You have a couple buddies around. You're just like, oh, this is so dumb. But hey, that's pretty cool. And then like next month, you're like, hey, did you guys hear there's actually gonna be a Rail seminar? Maybe we should just go. Let's just check it out. This is gonna be fun. Let's just go listen to it.
In life, you have to say yes to opportunities.
I would say I'm only down on this if they're doing like a sensual meditation seminar. So.
Let's not act.
We'll see
like
if they have one in Vegas
on
while we're there.
There we go. That'd be the place to do it.
Sounds like a good time.
Frank, that was an awesome cult.
Yeah, man.
That was the Railist.
Realism.
Realism.
A while ago, I knew nothing about it, and now I know some things about it.
We did a podcast, the official Realism podcast.
Realism. Hey, no one got killed.
Not that we know of.
Realism. Hey, no one got killed.
Yeah.
KILT.
That should be the tagline on their website.
Kilt.
No one got killed.
No one got killed.
So, David, I know you have a little something for us.
Yeah, what you got there?
What you got?
I just got a little tasty something for us.
A little morsel?
A little morsel, a little thing to get on here. And for
David, that can wait till after we're done recording. But what you got for your cult?
Sensual meditation. Yeah. So my cults, I picked something classic, but classic and also it just happened a few weeks ago. By that I mean, we're talking about cults on such a large scale. We're talking like cult corporations right now. Copyright. And I just think that we also have to remember the cult that is
personality.
Just that one guy, that charismatic leader who just gets that handful of people around him. And let me paint you all a tale here. So this is a story in Germany. This happened May 16th. And what we have going on here is, let me just read this first paragraph for you all. I think it's beautiful. The storefront window of Torsten Weiss's medieval fetish shop.
Can you say Torsten Weiss for me one more time?
Torsten Weiss's medieval fetish shop in Hackenberg, Germany.
What a fun sentence to hear.
And this is an article off, what is this? The Daily Beast. So
that's pretty beast, man.
It is.
Incredible.
Nice descriptive writer here, too. The shop in Hackenberg, Germany is adorned with a mannequin splattered with fake blood sitting open-legged on a counter.
Are they for sure it's fake, though?
We'll find out. No, we won't. It's fake. A periwinkle blue rope is tied several times around her wrists and neck. Thick silver chains are draped across her shoulders like suspenders.
All right, you still got me. Keep going.
A stained blindfold is pushed up above her eyes. The store offers replicas of ancient weapons like longbows, spears, and battle axes alongside Knight Templar flags. It also offers medieval reenactment and jousting classes. So
this.
All right, when does this get weird?
Sounds like a great story, right?
Right?
So we got to get introduced to our main guy here, Weiss, Torsten Weiss, 53.
Dope name.
Tattooed and pierced owner of the shop, who police say once owned a dog that was used to maul and bite other canines to death. So this guy had already had a run-in with the law. This story isn't very long. The end is coming up right now.
Oh my goodness.
So basically what happened is they found this crime scene. They'd found two crime scenes. The first one was two women who were in a compromising sexual position, and both were killed with a crossbow bolt. Like by Joffrey Baratheon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Straight up, though. Straight up. Imagine that scene in Game of Thrones. This is what's going on. So they find some bodies in Vice's shop upstairs, and it's him. It's him and another woman laying in bed, both killed by crossbows. They both have their will and testament next to them. And on the floor, a third woman laying like naked on the floor, also killed by a crossbow. So apparently what's going on is like this Vice guy had lured in these women and with his personality had charmed them into doing these like sexual acts that were getting more and more depraved. And people were reporting things like sadomasochistic noises that they were hearing through the walls between these different stores.
Whoa.
But yeah, apparently this guy had like a medieval thing and convinced them all to let him kill them with a crossbow.
So he very well like could have been influenced by that episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh, that's 100% possible because this just happened like at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So this is not that long ago.
He was like getting ready for the new season to come out.
Yeah.
He was going through his rewatch, saw the scene again. He was like,
that's it.
Very
kinda hot.
likely that he's a Game of Thrones fan.
So these women, well, like when they first found these two, they thought this was some kind of like murder thing, and they don't know if this is even like the end of this. They're still like investigating to see if there's been any past links or anything like that. But as far as mythos of a cult, there's not even really. We don't really even know what he did.
Yeah.
Or like what he was saying to convince these people to do this. But it seems like.
and he's almost kind of like the person or object that they were.
Yeah.
Revering.
He's like the head. He's
He's like the person, and the object is his like sexual satisfaction.
Wow.
No matter how perverse.
Yeah.
Enough so that they were convinced to write out a will and testament.
And I'm also thinking about just the act of shooting someone with a crossbow, especially when you're shooting two people at the same time. Like you're loading that crossbow, killing one of them, and these are like medieval
And at this point, still everybody's still down. Everybody's still like,
Doesn't sound like a quick death either.
No.
But then lady number 1 gets hit with the crossbow. You tell me lady number 2 still like.
And that's what I'm saying. She's just sitting there, like, while he's reloading this crossbow and everything. It's kind of intense. Yeah.
That's pretty powerful, man.
On the floor in front of them in a pool of blood was 30-year-old Farini Kaspari, suspected of honoring Vice's Dominator command to first kill him and Enders and then take her own life.
Whoa.
So the first two he presumably killed. The next ones he convinced someone else to kill him and then theirself.
Wow.
That's some classic suicide pact cult stuff going on here. So I thought this one would be a nice little segue. It's half cult, half, oh, that's interesting.
That was
pretty interesting, my guy.
Yeah, I thought so too. I'm just going to shove that music there in the end.
There you go.
That's pretty much it, though. Like, they just know that some of these women who were involved were, like, brought in because they were into medieval times. They were into folklore and things like that.
Wow.
He, picked up all these ladies at a Renaissance
Yeah, I was going to say that Ren Fair peeps.
And then just kind of took them over. They probably were watching Game of Thrones together. I can only assume.
It'll do it to you.
Yeah.
They were just watching that episode. He was like, hey, guys, don't you think that's, like, I don't know, kind of sexy the way he kills him with the crossbow?
It's pretty hot, yeah.
And he's like sitting there with his crossbow.
Man. That is pretty darn interesting.
Oh, well, thank you. It's just a little thing, but when I read about it, I was like, oh my goodness, this happened like
just
several
now.
weeks ago. Yeah. By the time this comes out anyway. Well, gentlemen.
That brings us Peeps and Predicts time.
It is. Who's peeping today? Who's getting our peep?
I'll get the peep.
Get the peep.
Peeping it up.
We have our
peeping it
reigning
up.
champ, Bernie Sanders.
And remember, if you're unfamiliar with Peeps and Predicts on this 27th episode, you know what we do is we have a pair of people already matched up in one jar, and then we have several predicaments or problems that they could be going through in the other jar, and we have a hypothetical debate. And we would love to get your suggestions in the comments, so drop them in there.
Yeah.
Who do you want us to talk about?
Or email them to davidandfrankandbeans
At gmail.com.
Or write it on a tiny little piece of paper, catch a bird, any kind of bird really, tie it to that bird's ankle, release it back into the universe, and hopefully it'll get to us.
And if it does, we'll know.
Yeah.
We'll consider it. if it gets to us.
This one kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Oh, it smells like bird. So today we have Will Wheaton versus a household favorite here at the production house, Chris Hardwick.
Ooh. Okay, so we got like two cringy nerd personalities.
Yes.
Gotta be honest,
Yes,
I don't know if I know Will Wheaton's face. I'm just gonna
Will
look him
Wheaton
up.
was
Oh,
he was the young kid on
Yeah,
Star
you know
Trek
Will
Next
Wheaton's
Generation, and then he's known for Geek and Sundry, which is now defunct, or not defunct, but been sold. He's not there anymore.
got it. I know this guy.
Yeah. And then Chris Hardwick we have from Attack of the Show, which is where he was getting off, and then now we know him from Talking Dead and Talking whatever else.
Did he do the Breaking Bad one too?
Talking Bad, I'm pretty sure he did.
He has his podcasts.
Oh, he's got his podcast.
He
Nerdist.
does all the Nerdist stuff,
is his
yeah.
thing. I don't like either of them.
Yeah.
Like they both get on my nerves.
I was gonna
listen to
say
for just a little
I was
bit.
about to call Chris Hardwick boring, but that's not even the thing. I don't find him boring. I find him
No.
like irritating.
Just irritating.
Yeah, very irritating.
Yeah, he kind of panders to like The Walking Dead too.
Chris Hardwick is the kid in class who's constantly like not being funny because he wants everybody to think.
Oh yeah.
Like he's very funny.
And there's something about like nerd commentators where they're just trying too hard.
Yeah.
Like trying too hard to be like, oh, I'm so nerdy. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, ugh.
One thing that really
Relax.
always like pushed me off of listening to Chris Hardwick's podcast was essentially that he'll have people on there, especially comedians, and he'll try to out funny them sometimes, or just like put in his own material. And I'm just like, Chris, I mean, I'm literally just listening because this person's on the channel.
Yeah.
Let them talk.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's
Welcome
pretty
to We Hate Chris Hardwick.
We hate Chris Hardwick. I'm down. Well, I got our first one. Who would make a better cartoon character? Chris Hardwick or Will Wheaton?
much. I'd say Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, you know, between the two, Will Wheaton doesn't stick out in my head as like a very animated person.
Yeah, not that
No.
interesting.
When
of a
part of the
person.
thing that's so irritating about Chris Hardwick is he's way too animated sometimes. Like almost a Tom Cruise level of animation.
I could see that. The only counter argument that I would have is I'm pretty sure is there a Star Trek Next Generation cartoon?
I don't know.
I know there's a Star Trek, like an original animated series
already on it.
of the OG Star Trek.
Yes,
There is a Star
but not on Next Generation. Just the old
Oh,
one.
okay. Well, then he's not a character in that. You know, I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think Will Wheaton brings a different energy.
Yeah.
He's still got a lot of similarities, but he's not like, "Whoa, everyone!" Like Chris Hardwick is.
I almost want to call him pedantic, but he's not like pedantic. He just happens to know a lot of nerd stuff. But he plays it a lot
pretty
more low
immature.
key than Chris
He
Hardwick.
does, yeah. And he also plays like the jerk. That's like his character.
Yeah.
Like he's like a little too good for everyone else. Chris Hardwick's like the dog who doesn't get pet enough.
There you go.
It's too
I think so
much.
too.
Yeah.
That's
That's a
an
really good
accurate description. Yeah.
Why don't you hit us with this next one, Danny?
Let's
This might
check
be
the
an
old
easy. This might be an
predict.
easy one here.
Oh man, I really hope it's one of the ones I put in there.
I'm also thinking the same thing. We just refreshed the jar a little bit today.
Yeah,
and
we
My
had to scramble.
Soup's excited.
Soup.
Soups.
Who would make better soup?
Who would make a better cup of coffee? Who is this? Bernie Sanders and Chris Hardwick, or
No,
what?
This
no,
is
this
Chris
is still
Hardwick.
Will Wheaton versus
Will
Chris
Wheaton.
Hardwick.
I don't know.
This is round 2.
I mean, it seems like Chris Hardwick has drank a lot of coffee in his life,
Just from his general.
just
like,
from his demeanor.
I do have to say that I think Chris Hardwick would be considerably more rich than Will Wheaton.
Oh yeah.
And with having more money, I think inevitably you do less things for yourself.
And I would say that Will Wheaton kind of looks like he would be a barista.
Yeah,
at
he kind
Starbucks.
of does.
Hey, you know what? You're right.
Just imagine him in a little green vest. Boom.
Yeah. Will Wheaton's also really into tabletop games. I could see him brewing a pot of coffee before playing some long tabletop RPG.
I could definitely see that.
I could see that.
I bet Will Wheaton's a French press man.
I bet Chris Hardwick would stop by Starbucks on the way home
Yeah.
and just pick everyone's order up.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't make his own coffee.
Yeah.
So Will Wheaton.
I think so. Right?
Shall we have a third predict?
Everyone, we're getting along too well here.
Look at this.
We need more drama. We need more hatred between us.
Let's try this predict out. And I'll put that right there.
Will.
God, I hope it's one of mine. Come on. Come on. Oh.
Ooh, Daniel.
No whammy. No whammy. No whammy.
We've had so many mic knocks in this episode. I think like the all-time record.
Is it mine?
Who would be a better babysitter?
Probably Will Wheaton.
You know what?
It depends from whose perspective. I feel like as a child, they would prefer Chris Hardwick.
I don't know.
As a parent, you'd be like, man, Will is such a good kid.
Will's a nice fella.
I would like to think that my kids would be like, Chris Hardwick's kind of annoying, isn't he?
Your kids are gonna be hella dumb, dude. I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me see here. I'm looking up what I think makes the most sense logically. Who has children?
Oh, Chris Hardwick does not.
He doesn't have
Will
children.
Wheaton
I'm pretty sure he
has
doesn't.
a son, I believe.
Will Wheaton's got 2 sons, Ryan Wheaton and Nolan Wheaton.
There you go. Ew, Nolan's such a weird name. Sorry, Karen and Nolan.
Oh, check this out. Wheaton married Ann Prince on November 7th, 1999, and lives in Arcadia, California with her and her 2 sons from a previous relationship. When one son was 19, he asked Wheaton to legally adopt him, which he did. That's kind of interesting.
It's pretty admirable.
That's a pretty good move.
But I think that also kind of lends the suggestion that the kids like him,
Yeah.
which also leads to, he's probably got some skills with the Ninos.
He's like a dad skills.
Yeah, it's got dad skill. Dad skill plus 5.
He probably just plays games with them.
Yeah.
I would say Chris Hardwick's probably got no dad skill.
No.
No.
And I wouldn't trust Chris Hardwick to park my car, much less look after my children.
Wow. I love it, dude.
I'm just being honest. I don't like the guy
I don't
at
even
all.
trust Chris Hardwick to talk about Walking Dead to me.
Yeah,
For
true.
reals, his biggest job, he does a terrible job at
Does
it.
Yeah.
a bad job at
I'm
it.
like, wow.
It's like we
so
watched Talking Dead to like see the scene from next week, you know?
that's
Yeah.
all I ever did. Yeah, I would start talking
And
Dead,
that's why they helped
fast
it
forward all
ransom.
the way to the
Unless
end.
what's her
Yeah.
face was hosting.
Yeah.
She should have been.
What's her
like,
name?
the
And she
host.
replaced him when Chris Hardwick got in all that
Nice.
stuff. He got accusations from his ex-girlfriend that he was like an abusive person, like verbally abusive
that's
to her.
right.
Oof.
He was going through a lot of controversy.
Yeah,
recently,
he
too.
almost lost everything pretty
Yeah.
much, but he actually managed to come back around. And apparently he had just had like records of old text messages that were painting them both in a character completely different than the way that she was saying it. I don't know if there's there's still
Weird that he just had those though.
well, yeah, right. But then I also think, if you kept your iPhone for 4 years, you
possible.
might have all
I have
your
some old
messages.
texts, yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of weird. And of course, just that message doesn't dismiss someone. You
Yeah.
can really paint a picture one way and sincerely be a different way. But
Yeah.
In the end, it's all about money and lawyers.
man, let's give it to Will Wheaton if you guys are down.
He seems like a dad. He is.
If I had to pick one of them to babysit children, I
Right.
would pick Will Wheaton.
yeah.
Be like they at least play some weird board game and
Yeah.
they'd have a good time.
I mean, that guy was piloting a ship when he was like a child.
Yeah. And think about this. He probably knew Spock,
True.
who,
Those are great influences
wrote
on a
the
young
book.
man.
Although I'm going to clarify because Spock is not in Next Generation, but
Data.
yeah. Pretty much though, huh?
Yeah, he's basically
They just
replaced
like
by Data.
replace a bunch of characters.
Yeah.
It's like the Cleveland show of.
to Star
of
Trek's
sci-fi.
Family Guy.
All right, so here we go. We got Will Wheaton versus Bernie Sanders, and our predicament is, and again, I'm just refreshing this for who knows what reason, but if you're not sure what's going on, Bernie Sanders has been our champion for the past 2 or 3 weeks. It was
Yeah.
Batman for like
Dethroned
17
Batman.
episodes.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have Will Wheaton, this week's winner, fight against Bernie Sanders. And quite literally, because our predicament is, who would win in a blindfolded knife fight?
Nice. That's another Frank. I was excited about that
Will
one.
Wheaton about to get burned.
I mean, this is unfortunate
This is a weird one.
because I just think Will Wheaton has more mobility than Bernie
Yeah, I don't
Sanders.
think
But
that-
is it going to be like brute strength that's going to win this or wisdom?
Or a well-placed stab.
Bernie Sanders is like the definition of pacifist, though.
Yeah, I don't think he would get in a knife fight.
Yeah.
But they're blindfolded, correct?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like,
But if you told Bernie Sanders, Bernie, if you win this knife fight,
You get to be president.
we're going to give everybody health care.
yeah, but that's not the stipulation of this predicament.
But that's the reason
Who's-
he would agree to
Who is
a
going to be in a
blindfolded knife fight.
blindfolded knife fight to determine the healthcare of the United States? We'd have to like write a little addendum to it or something.
Doesn't that sound like a challenge Trump would pose?
I guess it's true. Like all of our decisions just basically boil down to trial by combat now.
Yeah.
I'm down.
We have abortion laws being
Tribal
contested.
combat and Big Mac eating contests.
Wow. Trump would have one of those. It doesn't feel right, but you know, I've always upheld honesty on Peeps and Predicts. You know, something that my cousin Michael Pena told me one time. He was just like, you got to be true to yourself. You know what I mean? You can't be being an inauthentic person because people can see right through that.
Was that before or
Wise
after he
words.
audited you?
I've never been audited, but I mean, this is from when we were, you know, much younger. But Bernie doesn't have the mobility.
Yeah.
And if it was like Arnold Schwarzenegger, just as old as Bernie, then I'd be like, well, Schwarzenegger, because he's a fighter.
Because he's the Terminator.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, or even someone lesser. Like, let's say it's, who's like an old, like Jackie Chan or something.
Yeah.
Jackie Chan could be old. He could be 75, but you're not going to totally forget how to move
Yeah.
and how to fight. Whereas Bernie, I don't think he's probably fought anyone his entire life.
No, he's only fought injustice in the world.
Yeah. With his words. And, yeah.
Which are sharp as knives.
Which are sharp as knives.
But not exactly
But not
as
really,
sharp as a
yeah.
knife. Yeah.
And I'm not saying Will Wheaton's like some, you know, karate expert or something, but
He's just got better joints.
He's got better joints. He's got better agility.
younger, yeah.
I bet he's considerably taller.
Yeah.
Probably got a longer reach.
He's got those dad instincts too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's true.
Dad strength.
This
Yeah, as soon as
does
you read it,
not-
I got kind of bummed out. I was
Yeah.
really hoping Bernie was going to stick around for a lot
Dude,
longer than he
Will
did.
Wheaton might
Well, I think he is. I mean,
I think
Yeah.
Will Wheaton wins.
and we got to point this out.
double dubs, dude.
Batman was here for so long because the character was written with almost no weaknesses.
So you're saying
amazing
Bernie's
talent
fault
and
is
everything.
weak writing?
Yeah, Bernie wasn't written as well as Batman. No, but like Bernie's a real person. That's
Way to
the
go,
issue.
Elohim.
You know what I mean? Like there's no real life Bruce Wayne with some person with
JJ Arms.
unlimited
Would Bernie
intellect.
be written more as a cleric or like a paladin? He's more like a cleric.
I don't know. He's definitely lawful good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's his character flaw.
Well,
That's
Wow,
unfortunate, Bernie.
Will
We'll
Wheaton
keep on
is-
filling the burn, just not on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well, not in Peeps and Predicts anyways.
I guess
Will
till
Wheaton.
next WeDAP, Will Wheaton is our winner.
ratings.
Yay.
reigning champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not seen one Will Wheaton movie.
I don't think he's in any movies.